What's going on, you guys? It's Cole from Athlete Mental Game Coaching and Desi Maynor.
Welcome back.
We're back with another podcast. This is podcast number 4.
Oh, yeah.
And today, right, you know, we have always mentioned the workbook that we have on our website about all those costly mental game mistakes. We want you guys to go download that really quickly because you're probably struggling
There's 10 of them.
Probably struggling with most of them. So we want you guys to go look at that. But today, kind of wanted to dive into one of those.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest ones that people really don't realize
no doubt.
or differentiate from other things. And I think for us, that is expectations.
Yeah.
So honestly, I want to jump in with a question for you is what are the big expectations that you set for yourself
Oh my God.
as an athlete?
I mean-
Let's go with the biggest one. What was your biggest expectation that you set?
Be perfect. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, that's the biggest one.
I think a really good one, a really easy sport to look at is like basketball or baseball.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Right? So let's pull out baseball because I already talked about basketball in the other podcast, which if you haven't listened, go back, listen to those.
For sure.
So baseball, I would say like I always wanted to be a 500 hitter. Right? So I got to get 2 out of 4 hits or whatever it is, right? And I was a catcher, so it was like, less than two pass balls. But honestly, I would say that, but really if I had one, I was raging.
Right.
And anybody who's going to steal second, I got to throw them out, every time but one. But even then, I would say that, but then I'd be raging if I didn't get them every time. Right. So when I'm going, and I'm 0 for 2 at the plate, like I'm freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I am literally thinking, if I don't get a hit, I'm 0 for 3. And I'm probably only going to have 2 more at bats. So the best I'll be is 2 for 5. Like, and I'm playing those games in my head nonstop.
Yeah.
And it is like crazy pressure. And then, strike 1. Oh, man, I'm going to go 0 for 3. Like, I mean, it's real.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
you guys know, like, this isn't no surprise.
Yeah.
For you. Like, this is every athlete feels this. Those are expectations.
Yep.
That's essentially what an expectation is. It is an unrealistic, incredibly strict goal that 9.9 out of 10 times has to do with an end result.
Yep. Oftentimes it's statistical related.
Yeah, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna play perfect, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That statistic there,
Yeah.
but we know for a fact that every single one of you have them.
Yeah.
Because we did.
Yeah.
Like we're not trying to stuff anything down your throat that hasn't impacted us,
For sure.
or that we've already learned the hard way.
For sure.
on.
Yeah.
But talk to me about you. The expectation. I have a guess because you're a striker.
Yeah. So the big thing was, I mean, as a striker, your really only goal is to actually put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, your goal is to score goals.
Yeah. And for me, I struggled with that until my junior year, where I was scoring almost pretty much every game. And my freshman, sophomore year in college was kind of the only 2 years that I didn't really score every game. Like in high school and growing up, like I was always, top of the leaderboards for that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, once you go to college,
It's
bottom of the table.
Everyone's
better.
state.
Yeah, everyone is way better than me, right? And so I went into college, right? I wanted to score, my goal. I knew I wasn't going to be as good as I, thought. So I was like, you know what? I just want to score 1 goal in my first year. Like that was. I remember telling myself that's what I wanted to do, and of course, I actually did get it in my first game. I scored in my first game, and I was like, all right, sweet. Like, what's next? I scored in my second game, and I was like, oh, so now I'm going to score every single game. And then,
that's where you went
that's
wrong.
where I went wrong. And for me, I didn't score another goal till the end of our season. I had 3 goals my freshman year.
that's brutal. We're laughing
gosh.
about it now, but it must have been awful.
Oh, it was horrible. Yeah. There were days where I would leave practice bawling because I couldn't even score in practice. And it was awful.
Yeah.
And sure enough, right, when I finally scored, the weight went off my shoulders and kind of the expectation of, okay, now I'm back to it. And then I put the expectation again on myself. Where I'm like, okay, now I know I can do it. Let me do it again. Yeah. And instead of focusing on the things that actually were going to get me the goal, I focused on the end result of scoring and celebrating instead of the little things that I needed to do in order to make that happen.
The expectation holds you back.
Oh, 100%.
Right? We get there's 2 perfect examples of how that holds you back, creates stress, performance anxiety, all of the things. You'll focus on mistakes. But you started to hint at it there. how do you overcome that costly mental game mistake of strict, unrealistic expectations?
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about what should we think about?
Yeah. So we call them process goals.
Yeah.
And they're super simple. Like, you should be able to complete them 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Because if you can do that, you're one step closer to achieving that end goal that you want, right? So for me, we use this phrase in soccer all the time, is taking peeks, right? For us, that meant checking our shoulder, right? Knowing what was going on around me. Now, checking my shoulder didn't make me take the ball and go score.
Right.
But what it did help me was, now I know that I have space in behind me,
Yeah.
or I have a player on me, I need to get rid of the ball one touch.
Yep.
Right? And for me, that helped me get that end result, because now I know, I have time, I can turn, find a pass. I don't have time, let's play and move. And it helps me stay in the moment, and really ended up getting me to those end results. Because my junior and senior year, I was scoring every single game, and I didn't focus on scoring. I focused on my movement. I focused on checking to make sure I had space, if I was in the right spaces, making the right runs. None of that was, make sure you hit a perfect shot. No.
Nope.
None of that.
Nope.
Like, it was all about those little things that led up to it. And of course, when you start focusing on those little things that you can do, right? Because no one can stop me from checking my shoulder.
Nope.
Right? Unless they hold my head still, but no one's doing that.
Nope.
So,
you know your card anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it was, I could do it without failure, unless I just didn't do it. Right? And
that's like empowering, right?
Yeah,
like,
it
you're
is.
Like, man, I can do that.
I'm in full control of what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, right? When you have expectations, there's a lot of other factors that play into that. But when you focus on process goals and things that you can achieve without failure, you put yourself in control and give yourself that empowerment, I guess.
Control.
Yeah, and which is a huge thing that we, as athletes, we really, really want, is that control. And once you start having control, you start getting confidence, right? You start playing really freely and smoothly, and it all kind of just goes together, right? And that was the big thing for me. So I kind of want to ask you the same question. Like, what were some of the process goals that you had that helped you?
So I remember this specific game, senior year basketball season, same season as the crazy wet hair. I knew I was going to have a pretty good game going in. I knew they weren't very good, so I put the crazy expectation of I want to score 30 points. And first quarter did not go well, because I'm like, 30 points, I gotta every quarter I gotta score X amount of points, right? So right after the first quarter, I was like, you know what, screw this. And I was like, what is helping me score the most points? Well, in that particular game, it was literally just hustling.
Oh yeah.
Like running up and down the court, because the couple of guys that were trying to guard me were much more out of shape than me. So it was, if I just hustled, I would score easy points. And so literally that was it. That was the reframe. It was just hustle. Sprint up and down the court. And I bet you I scored 15, 16 points. They were just easy little layups, just because I out hustled them.
Because you worked.
That was it. And so it was like, oh my gosh, all I had to do was think about hustling. And that end result came a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
I ended up scoring 34 points that game.
Yeah. You can usually solve a
and
lot of your problems.
I didn't know it.
Oh really?
By the time I got to the end of the game, my dad was like, Desi, you just broke the record. And I was like, what record? And he's like, you scored 34 points. And I was like, say what?
Yeah, what?
And I was like, I felt like it was just going easy.
Oh, yeah.
You know? But I entered the zone.
Oh, yeah.
All of it just because I was hustling, and that was my focus.
Yeah.
Hustle.
Yep, just focus on that one thing, right? We talked about in the previous podcast is when everything else is going bad, focus on that one thing, right? And most of the time for athletes that know about expectations, know about process goals, for us, it's focus on that one process goal.
Yeah.
Right? It's focus on that one thing that can make you successful.
So get rid of that expectation, probably multiple expectations that are strict and unrealistic. Replace it with a simple process goal, just like we were explaining, just like we gave you examples on.
And you'll be able to look at all these other mistakes that you can probably replace with other things in our course on our website. Go check out our website and look at that workbook that we talk about all the mental game mistakes. Super quick and easy to help you just get right into it. And with that being said, I think that concludes our podcast.
Challenge the mindset, focus the action. Go get them.
See you guys.